Hi kids, it's Christmas time and it's one of Nonnie's favorite times. And today I'm going to read you a story about Christmas. It's called The Spider Who Saved Christmas, a legend. Do y'all know what a legend is? It's a story that's handed down from generation to generation, family to family over the years. The book was written by Raymond Arroyo. It's got beautiful pictures. Nonnie has read it over and over and over. In the days of Herod, the king of Judea, Mary, her husband, Joseph, and the baby Jesus fled Bethlehem by night, bound for the land of Egypt. Weary from their journey, they sought refuge in the caverns of the hill country. There they are on their journey to Egypt. And as they entered a cave, behold, a great spider trembled at the child's cry. The sound vibrated through her golden web, filling Nonnie with wonder. She scampered to the corner of the silk, where a sack of eggs, her future, hung. They were safe, swaddled in the golden strands she had spent hours knitting about them. She peered down at the fascinating strangers below. This is Nonnie. The woman cradling the babe in her mantle reclined beneath Nonnie's silken canopy. The man with kind eyes lifted his lantern, staring into the darkness outside the cave. "We can't stay here, Mary," he said in a soft voice. "Herod's men are coming." For he had been warned in a dream that King Herod sought to destroy the child. "Jesus won't be safe until we reach Egypt." Mary nodded gently, kissing the head of her babe. "Fear not, Joseph." Nonnie dropped on a line of webbing to get a closer look at the child, who seemed to glow with his own radiance. Joseph's eyes turned hard when he spotted the dangling visitor above Mary. "Be still, there are spiders," he spat out. He slashed at Nonnie with his staff. As she recoiled, Joseph ran his staff through the web, ripping two of the main lines. The golden-backed spider retreated into the shadows and laid her body protectively over her sack of children. "Leave it, Joseph," Mary said. "They are dangerous." He lifted the lantern, seeking the spider lurking in the dark. As he raised his staff to strike the spider and clear what was left of her webbing, Mary took hold of the rod. "All are here for a reason. Let it be." Now at the hum of the woman's voice, Nonnie relaxed but dared not leave the shadows. She rubbed her two front legs together, wondering how she would ever repair the shredded web. "Rest, Joseph," Mary patted the ground beside her. Joseph lay next to the child and threw his cloak over the three of them. And behold, wails of anguish and the final cries of babies floated through the night. Nonnie stiffened at the sound of the wails on the wind. "Poor children," Joseph said. "The soldiers are close." "Dim the light," Mary whispered. "I am sorry we are in this horrible place," he told her, snuffing out the lantern light. "We are so exposed." "It is where we are meant to be. There is beauty even here." She looked up at Nonnie's web, touching Joseph's hand. "And love." "Pray for our safety," he said, closing his eyes. Mary lightly moved her lips. Only the faraway shrieks disturbed the cave silence. Nonnie moved to the tattered edge of her silk. Taking advantage of the stillness, she began to spin a new web. How would she ever reattach the ripped drape to the faraway wall? It would take hours, days perhaps. A shaft of moonlight suddenly cut into the cave. As Nephilah turned toward the light, a warm gust carrying the sweet scent of berries blew over her. It swirled about the cavern, and she felt herself rising slightly. The wispy main lines of her web floated up to the ceiling and stretched to the far wall of the cave as if they had never been disturbed. The spider warily walked the length of the silk to the far cave wall, testing the strength of the new lines. She's walking. Suddenly, the child below cried, sending a vibration through the web. Nephilah's egg sac leapt and rippled at the sound. The spider stared down at the child. This Jesus. Never had she felt such a sensation. She instantly understood what she had to do. At the center of her web, she plucked the strings, playing a tune only spiders could hear. From deep within the crevice of the cave, Nephilah's older children scuttled forward by the dozens. Each heard its mother's call and followed her to the cave opening. See, her little children are coming. Nephilah hung upside down from the cave's mouth and descended on a thick golden line until she reached the floor. She then climbed to the corners of the opening and repeatedly fluttered across the center line, leaving a trail of golden thread behind her. Her framework completed, she plucked on the center strand. At the sound, her children sprang into action, dropping cords of web, weaving their golden silk in a frantic, rhythmic dance. See all her little children building the web back? Now, when it was daybreak and the spider's work was done, the cave mouth wore a golden veil of webbing, sealing it completely. Look how big that web is. Nephilah's children returned to the darkness in their personal webs, but not Nephilah. Despite the frost dotting the golden curtain, she rested on the outside at the very center of the web. There she is, resting. And it came to pass that Nephilah felt the approach of 3 soldiers climbing the hillside. They carried blood-slicked swords and spoke in loud, crude voices. "You two get up there and inspect the cave," one soldier yelled. "Why would a baby boy be in a cave? You have your orders, inspect every dwelling and kill every boy under 2, especially the newborns. That was Herod's command. Go." A pair of soldiers clambered up to the cave. Oh. See the soldiers? The yelling and clanging of armor woke Joseph, though Mary and Jesus did not stir. In silence, Joseph fetched his staff and held it high, ready to defend his family. The golden screen blocking the outside world puzzled him. On its thick gauze, he observed the shadows of 2 huge soldiers, one waving a sword. Joseph tightened his grip on the staff. He's ready to defend Mary and baby Jesus. And there's Nephilah. Outside, the sunlight caused the frosty cobweb to glimmer and sparkle. Nephilah wished to return to the shadowy recesses of the cave. She felt so exposed sitting in the daylight, but the child had clearly told her to spin a web over the entranceway and remain there. "What should we do?" one of the soldiers whispered, considering the spider's handiwork. "No one entered this cave or the web would be broken." "You are right," the soldier glared at Nephilah, whose legs were pulsing. "There is no newborn in there, except maybe newborn spiders. That thing looks ready to pounce." The other soldier said, shivering for an instant, "I hate spiders. Forget it. Let's go." "Everything is clear up here, Commander," one of them yelled, and they retreated, running down the hill. Oh, they are. They're afraid of little Nephilah. Inside the cave, Joseph lowered his staff and fell against the rocky wall, giving thanks for their safety. Nephilah watched the soldiers leave, and after a long while, she began to blow on the strings of her web. The light melody awakened Mary. "Joseph, from where is that music coming?" "I hear nothing," he said. Mary marveled at the gossamer gauze and the shadow of Nephilah illuminated by the sun. "Isn't it beautiful?" "Soldiers came as you slept. The spider saved Jesus and us," Joseph said, staring at the web. "Yes, all are here for a reason." Mary looked lovingly at her son and nodded off to sleep. There she is. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph remained in the cave another day before taking their leave. They pulled back a piece of Nephilah's golden curtain to pass from the cave, and the child's hand grazed the web as they hastened to Egypt. See, Jesus is touching the web. He's not afraid of Nephilah. And it came to pass that Nephilah withdrew to the cave, where she tenderly embraced her egg sac until the last of her spiderlings came forth. Soon after, she repaired the golden curtain at the entryway and spent her days at its center. Basking in the sunlight, she awaited the return of the child with the sweet cry she could never forget. Even today, golden silk orb weavers, the children of Nephilah, can be found on their webs in the sun, waiting. And theirs is considered the most precious of all spider silk. Nephilah's gift to the Christ child is remembered in the sparkling tinsel that drips from evergreens all over the world at Christmas time. Poles, Ukrainians, and other Eastern Europeans have a tradition of placing spider ornaments on Christmas trees to commemorate the spider that saved Christmas. So next time you see twinkling tinsel on or a spider ornament lurking in a tree branch, think of Nephilah, who, though small and feared, met divinity and reflected his light as only she could. Like each of us, she was there for a reason. Did you like that story? I hope you did. Nonnie did.